these two guys are one of the top two quarterbacks coming out of the out this year. Do you think it's better suited? And I've heard an interesting comment today about Moore possibly being either one or two. They were saying that if you're not guaranteed to be number one, stay another year because you're just going to go to another bad team. What's you guys' thoughts with that with the NIL situation? You think that more quarterbacks are more apt to stay in college now? And is it the better option for him now? If you're not going to go to a team that you can't, like you're going to end up at the Jets, you're not going to win for at least 2-3 years. They're just a bad team, you know? What are you guys' thoughts on that? Do you think that's one of the good points of NIL, or do you think that these guys just going to try to make their dream come true and be the next guy?
I mean, I think that with regards to I think it does kind of put a lot of power. It puts, some might argue it's too much power in players' hands as far as that goes. But at the same time, you know, I don't think any of us here, if we had to take our pick of where, do we want to go number one overall, which, yes, who wouldn't want to go number one overall no matter the team? Because you're the first overall pick. You get the most money, like biggest contract, cool. How many of us want to go like number 2 or 3 to a poverty franchise, like you said, like the Jets or like the Raiders, you know, like teams that just, they are awful. They are just cursed. There is no helping them at all. So I kind of do see that side a little bit where it's like, why would you want the first 3, 4, 5 years of your career stunted by such a garbage organization?
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I would just speak basically on personal experience, right?
Yeah.
Like if I would be in that situation, right? Like put myself in that shoes, I would want the security blanket. I would want the contract with the years on it, with the $1 million on it, playing at the pro level where I can get all the facilities, all the resources, all the knowledge that I can get from the guys that have been in the shoes, the guys that are there, and the guys that are coming up still even after me, right? I feel like if I stay in college for too long, knowing myself, I am a party guy, and I would probably like get mixed up in that stuff and just be all about that and just get the money, play, and not be worried about anything else, right? I don't know. Just speaking on my own, what my own experience would be, I would decide to go to the NFL, even if it's gonna be for a crappy team. Whatever, it is what it is. I'm going to go and play. I'm going to try my heart out, and I'm going to learn what I can and use all the resources, man. I'd rather go to the next level than to stay longer in college and play 4 to 5 years now that some players are 5-year eligible.
Oh, yeah. What do you think, Charles? What would you like to do, man, if you had that opportunity?
Yeah, I think you just go in. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're talking about going from number 2 to number 1 the following year, 1, there's no guarantee that your draft stock's going to rise or stay to that point. And 2, mathematically, your team should be worse if you're the number 1 pick instead of the number 2 pick, right? Because that's the worst of the 2 teams. Coupled with, you're talking about NIL money. This is primarily going to be quarterbacks. Obviously, we're talking the top 2 picks in general. And that debate jumping up because typically, if you're a number 2 pick right now and you're not a quarterback, your chance to jump to number 1 the following year is pretty small. It's pretty much QB or nothing at this point. So staying on that, you look at someone like Jaden Daniels, got drafted 2 years ago. His signing bonus, what, $25 million, right? So if this is a financial thing, you're going to make more at the 2 pick. Travis Henry last year, his thing was like $30 million, even more for a receiver, whatever you want to call him, you know, and that's another $5 million from Jaden Daniels. So the money's going to be there. The opportunity to learn and grow is going to be there. And you're not really avoiding playing for a bad team regardless. I do get the Jets concept and maybe even the Raiders concept this year. But I think that situation more so lends itself to those kind of teams have been stuck in a cycle of immediately starting their young quarterback rather than building around them and letting a veteran play for a year. And they just need to get out of that and let someone like Mendoza getting drafted by the Raiders or more, whatever, who cares? You know, Jets, those 2 situations. Those guys shouldn't start right out the gate. They should have a veteran there. You got Gino there. You got whoever, you know, just let these guys sit on the bench, learn for a year, build up the rest of the team with the draft from the next year, and then put them in a situation to win if those starting quarterbacks fail. But I think that's kind of the premise there is they jump in, they fail immediately, they don't get a secondary contract. And now you're looking back and going, well, sheesh, I could have maybe stayed in college and set myself up for a better situation. But grass ain't always greener. You know, look at this year. If Mendoza were to stay, obviously he's great. So let's forget that. If Dante Moore were to stay and avoid the Raiders this year, next year he's going to be with the Jets. So, you know, what are you really signing up for? and you're missing out on the signing bonus you're going to get right now from playing so well.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say I do agree though too, as far as like a lot of teams not like allowing themselves to be able to just build around a young quarterback. Like look at New England, like prime example. They had a young quarterback, but they didn't just throw him to the wolves. Like they built around him, supported him with key veterans, key pieces on the offensive line and wide receiver, and now they're one of the top seeds. So it's one of those things where if you can, as an NFL team, kind of transition from, like you said, throwing them to the wolves and get into that mentality of, yes, maybe we'll tank one more year, but it's worth it to build around a guy instead of getting him hurt right away.
I just think it's a wild time in college and the pros right now. You know what I mean? Because you can stay in college and make a damn good living still, and maybe wait your shot, maybe wait your turn, maybe get a little bit more experience. But then you never know how it's going to work out. I mean, we've already brought him up, Jaden Daniels. Who'd ever thought that he'd be taking them to the NFC Championship game? And it really wasn't his fault that they didn't go to the Super Bowl that year. He didn't have a bad game or anything, you know. So it is possible if you get the right people around you, if you have the right mentality. So it is definitely an interesting concept. I just was wondering what you guys' thoughts were with that, especially because it's a big situation you have coming up with all the money going on. I mean, Carson Beck is making a crap load of money just in college right now, you know, and he's making more than some of these guys as a rookie, you know. So it is interesting to see what the mindset is and how the game goes as far as draft stock goes, because you're completely right that just because you are supposed to be number one this year, if Arch Manning would have been available, you know what I mean? He would have consensus that he was the next generational pick, and now because he's got one more year, the year that he started out with, man, he lost a lot of money on that one, a lot of stock. He figured it out as the year went on. So you can hurt yourself by staying, but you can also help yourself by staying sometimes as well. You know, it's just an interesting concept of how the NFL and especially how college is now.
Yep.